Hey there guys, welcome back to Cop Talks and another video. So I decided to do an updated video on my duty belt loadout. So a few things have changed, a lot of things have stayed the same, but I just figured I'd go over it now that I have a better camera, a little bit better audio quality, and a little bit more editing skills. So on top of everything you see here, I also of course have my belt keepers. I'm currently wearing a total of 6, which some people think is just ridiculous. But for me, it seems to be just right. One of the belt keepers has a nice little key clip here. I usually clip my office keys. This is the keys to my patrol vehicle. Then, of course, we just have a standard leather series here. One of them has, once again, a hidden handcuff key in it. And then I just got a couple extras. But on top of that, we have kind of the basic loadout, right? So this is just your basically Batman belt here of law enforcement tools. There's a lot of stuff here you use on the daily, and there's a lot of stuff on here you're probably not going to use a lot. Hopefully not. So starting off from left to right, we're going to have a total of 3 spare magazines plus 1 in the gun and 1 in the chamber. So that is a total of 4 17-round magazines plus 1 additional one in the chamber. We have the triple magazine pouch here on the left hand side because I am a right-handed shooter. These magazines are all facing bullet front, so the rounds are facing down and forward away from me. This allows me to grab them left or right-handed and use them without having to turn the magazine around and everything. And plus, instead of carrying 2 in the same amount of space, I can generally carry 3. I kind of like that. We have a set of red handcuffs and blue handcuffs just because I felt like being fancy. Those have not changed from my last video. They're still, well, they're probably a little bit more worn than what they were. We have the Glock Model 45 Gen 5, not caliber 45. This is a 9mm, but it's their Model 45 pistol with the SUREFIRE X300 Ultra-B. A fantastic weapon light, by the way. Highly, highly recommend it. Streamlight also makes a good set, but SureFire is a pretty good name. Some things that have changed on the belt itself. I actually had to zip tie around right here on the radio belt, or the radio pouch. So what happened was this has 2 snaps in it, and one snap kept coming undone whenever you would sit in the truck. The belt would kind of get caught, not caught on the seat, but just from sitting against it, having your weight against it, it would unsnap one of these. So I just ran a zip tie around it. That solved the issue. It is starting to fray a little bit here, which I don't really care. That's cosmetic, but if you're trying to maintain an air of professionalism, that's probably something you'd want to take care of. I usually just keep it shoved off in there, and, that's that. The handcuff pouches, I haven't really had too many issues with. They're also held on with 2 snaps, so you can remove them without taking everything else off the belt. And I really thought that those would pop off at some point, but I haven't had that issue. Flashlight, still using a SUREFIRE G2x. This is with their Nitrolon body. It's not a full metal body. The bezel and everything is metal with a glass lens, but the body is a plastic polymer. Overall, really lightweight, great bright light. Really, really like the pouch it comes with. This is like a retention. So it's open top. You can have easy access to it and everything. And you can actually insert it like so, and it'll hold it like that if you just need to put it down real quick. Really, really enjoy that. We got the glove pouch, because once again, dirty, dirty job. I've had to replace these several times because it seems like it's just been my luck recently having to deal with a lot of deceased bodies. Once again, another handcuff pouch. It's for the blue set right there. We have the baton pouch, which is, for this bad boy right here. This mostly gets used as a back scratcher. I'm not going to lie. Back scratcher and like poking and touching stuff that I don't necessarily want to touch with my hands, even with gloves. So, moving on from there, we have the holster. So, I'm a pretty big fan of all the Safariland series holsters. This one is a level 3 retention. Level 1 being it sits in here. Level 2, it's held in by a retention clip up here that can be actuated with the thumb. And level 3 being the hood that will go over and secure the pistol. Now, I did have this tourniquet pouch elsewhere on the belt, but it just wasn't very comfortable. Sitting in the vehicle, it was applying pressure in a few areas, and it was starting to give me a little bit of back pain and a little bit of hip pain. So I relocated that at first to the rear of the holster here. But I realized in speed draws, whenever I was practicing, when I was qualifying, my hands would drag along the tourniquet holster here and would affect my draw time and firing speed. So what I did was I actually moved it to the front of the holster here, so now it sits on the front of my thigh, which I thought, it's not too bad. It's easy to access. It doesn't really get in the way, and, it works fine. For that tourniquet pouch, I carry a SWAT-T wide. This one has a band on top to just kind of keep it from flopping around. It also keeps these metal parts from, jingling together whenever you're walking if you're trying to be a little bit stealthy. And overall, you just pull that out and it falls apart, not falls apart, but falls open and is ready for use. Always, always carry a tourniquet, especially as a police officer. Now, this pouch is new. This is for the pepper gel. I'll go into a little bit of detail about this. I recommend pepper gel over pepper spray, and I really, really definitely recommend it over the foam. They do have a foam dispensing one, but that one somebody can actually scoop off and throw back at you, right? So that turns your defensive item into an offensive item. And if you've ever been pepper sprayed, you know how effective this is, especially if you're going to have to draw and use this bad boy. You're going to want to be able to see what you're doing. So I recommend the gel. It sticks, it stays, but they can't scoop it off and throw it back at you, right? This one is a small one. This is like a Mark III. This one's, I think, about 50 grams, it says. I don't know how many that is in ounces. But this stuff is really effective. This also has the UV dye, which marks people even if they wash it off. If you hit them with a black light, this stuff really just lights up. This one is really effective. I've carried this specific type even before becoming a police officer for a while. Never had to use it, but I've been blasted with it, unfortunately. And I can tell you it's pretty damn effective. That one's just in a hidden snap pouch here. Facing forward, locks in, all well and good. I usually give that a couple of shakes at the beginning of the shift just to get it nice and mixed up, and then I go about my day. The drop flex adapter from Safariland, I have to say, honestly made a very, very huge difference for this holster. What it did was it dropped the holster just a little bit, so it was a more natural location for my hand to go to whenever I was going for my pistol. It also dropped the weight a little bit, right? Dropped the center of gravity, and it actually does, as the name implies, flex. So when you're sitting and stuff, this will rotate a little bit or move with you, and it doesn't dig into your sides and your hips as much as like a static hard holster that is made of a very rigid material. And that was really, my old holster was actually giving me a lot of hip pain, specifically on my right side, and I realized that was coming from my holster. It was basically twisting the belt, causing it to put pressure onto me, because the belt's already on, not super tight, but tight enough to where it doesn't move around on me. And then, of course, you have the belt keepers and everything that hold everything in place, and it was kind of putting undue pressure on my sides. So this right here really did a good, quick job of relieving that pain. As far as anything else, not much else has changed. This is basically the same loadout I've had for probably about 3 years. I did have, like I said, this was replaced, this was new. The other one just started really just ripping apart. This one's held on very well. There's some stuff fraying at the bottom here where you can see the metal clip that comes down. That's cosmetic. Every once in a while I'll just melt this with a lighter and it's good to go. Everything else is holding on pretty well. The finish on the Safariland magazine pouches here are wearing out, but this corner right here really just comes in contact with a ton of stuff, and this holster's got some scratches and things because it sticks out a little bit wider from my body than everything else, so it tends to get banged into a bunch of stuff. As far as complaints, I don't really have any as of yet. Yeah, not much has changed. Like I said, I generally try to keep a spare handcuff key stashed in here. Sometimes I throw it in with the glove pouches, but with how much I've been using my gloves lately, I'm really afraid of pulling out the gloves and the key come out, and you know, there's that. So the one that is integrated into the belt keeper has really just been the mainstay for me, and the rest I kind of stashed throughout my person. But anyway, hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I just wanted to give a quick update on my new gear and things that have changed, things that I've noticed, how things have worked out for me, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. If you would, please leave this video a like. It helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already. I really like to, you know, build this community even more. It's been awesome. And, you know, have a great day. Get good training. Stay safe out there. And, yeah. Catch you in the next one.